Question 1. An individual purchases a homeowner's insurance policy and later submits a claim for damage caused by a fire. The insurer reviews the policy and determines that a clause excludes fire damage if the home is being rented out. Which of the following best describes why this exclusion may be enforced? A. Doctrine of utmost good faith. B. Subrogation principle. C. Adhesion characteristic of insurance contracts. D. Conditional contract nature. Correct answer. D. Conditional contract nature. Explanation. Insurance contracts are considered conditional, meaning that certain conditions must be met for coverage to apply. In this case, the policy has a specific condition that excludes fire damage if the property is rented. This aligns with the conditional nature of insurance policies, where specific scenarios limit the insurer's responsibility. The doctrine of utmost good faith, option A, relates to honesty in policy formation but does not involve conditional coverage. Subrogation, option B, concerns the insurer's right to recover costs from a liable third party, and adhesion, option C, pertains to the policy being non-negotiable, neither of which impact coverage conditions in the scenario. Question 2. Sarah, a commercial property owner, has a policy that includes both the building and personal property coverage form. A recent fire destroyed part of the building, causing Sarah to halt business operations temporarily. Under her business income insurance, which provision would typically cover her lost revenue until the premises are accessible again, they extended business income. B. Civil authority coverage. C. Actual loss sustained coverage. D. Extra expense coverage. Correct answer. B. Civil authority coverage. Explanation. Civil authority coverage typically applies when a government authority restricts access to the insured premises, causing a business interruption. This provision provides compensation for lost income while access remains restricted due to the event, in this case, the fire damage. Extended business income, option A, helps recover income for a period post-restoration, while actual loss sustained, option C, provides compensation based on proven income loss during downtime. Extra expense coverage, option D, covers costs needed to resume operations but does not apply to loss of income due to restricted access by civil authority. Question 3. In Nebraska, an insurance contract requires a valid offer, acceptance, and consideration to be enforceable. Which of the following scenarios would prevent a contract from being legally binding? A. The insurer offers coverage without specifying the premium. B. The insurer agrees to pay claims without requiring policyholder consideration. C. The insurer includes a clause for utmost good faith. D. The policy is structured as a unilateral contract. Correct answer. A. The insurer offers coverage without specifying the premium. Explanation. For an insurance contract to be binding, there must be a valid offer, acceptance, and consideration. Here, consideration typically includes a premium or something of value exchanged between parties. Without specifying the premium, the contract lacks proper consideration, making it unenforceable. Option B would also be an issue if there were no consideration, but in practice, insurers do require premiums satisfying this criterion. The utmost good faith clause, option C, supports transparency but does not impact legality directly. In unilateral contracts, option D, where only one party promises performance, are legally binding in insurance. Question 4. In Nebraska, a business owner decides to insure their property under a commercial package policy that includes both property and liability coverage. If a fire damages the building and halts operations, which part of the policy would typically cover the lost income during repairs? A. Business income coverage. B. Extra expense coverage. C. Personal property coverage. D. Debris removal coverage. Correct answer. A. Business income coverage. Explanation. Business income coverage is designed to compensate for income lost when business operations are interrupted due to property damage from a covered peril, such as fire. This coverage pays for the net income lost while repairs are made. Extra expense coverage, option B, covers additional costs incurred to continue operations but does not directly address lost income. Personal property coverage, option C, covers personal items but not income, while debris removal, option D, applies only to the costs of clearing debris post-loss, not to revenue loss. Nebraska's insurance regulations support the necessity of clearly defining the purpose of each coverage component in policies to ensure adequate protection. Question 5. Mr. Lewis owns a policy covering both his home and detached garage. After a severe storm, the garage and several personal belongings stored there are destroyed. Which section of his homeowner's policy would typically cover the personal property loss in the garage? A. Coverage dwelling. B. Coverage B. Other structures. C. Coverage C. Personal property. D. Coverage D. Loss of use. Correct answer. C. Coverage C. Personal property. Explanation. Coverage C. Personal property covers personal belongings, regardless of whether they are inside the dwelling or stored in other structures like a garage. Coverage option A applies only to the primary structure, while coverage B, option B, applies to detached structures but not to the items within. Coverage D. Loss of use, option D, is for additional living expenses if the home becomes uninhabitable, which doesn't address property losses. Nebraska's insurance regulations mandate comprehensive coverage for personal property loss in such scenarios to protect policyholders' assets effectively. Question 6. An insurance policy that provides coverage only for specific perils explicitly listed in the policy is commonly known as a named perils policy. B. Open perils policy. C. Comprehensive perils policy. D. Broad perils policy. Correct answer. A. Named perils policy. Explanation. A named perils policy covers only those perils specifically mentioned in the policy contract, such as fire, theft, or hail. If a peril is not listed, it is not covered. This contrasts with an open perils policy, option B, which covers all perils unless excluded. Comprehensive perils, option C, is not an insurance industry standard term, while broad perils, option D, refers to an extended form of named perils, covering more risks but still not as extensive as an open perils policy. Nebraska regulations often recommend that insurers clearly differentiate between named and open peril policies in policy documentation to prevent misinterpretation by policyholders. Question 7. Nebraska's Department of Insurance mandates that insurance contracts fulfill certain requirements to be enforceable. Which of the following elements is not essential to create a binding insurance contract? A. Offer and acceptance. B. Legal purpose. C. Representation. D. Consideration. Correct answer. C. Representation. Explanation. Representation is not a required element to form a valid insurance contract. Instead, it relates to the honesty and accuracy of the information provided by the applicant. For a contract to be binding, it must have offer and acceptance, a mutual agreement, legal purpose, lawful intent, and consideration, something of value exchanged, typically premiums for coverage. Misrepresentation can void a contract but is not an initial contract formation requirement. Nebraska insurance law emphasizes these elements to ensure contract enforceability and protection for both parties. Question 8. A Nebraska insurance agent suggests that a client's auto insurance policy includes liability coverage but limits payout per incident and also has an annual cap. This type of limit structure is known as A. Split limits. B. Aggregate limits. C. Per occurrence limits. D. Coinsurance. Correct answer. B. Aggregate limits. Explanation. Aggregate limits set a maximum limit on the total payout by the insurer over the policy period, often on an annual basis, for all incidents combined. This differs from per occurrence limits, option C, which restrict the payout per individual incident without annual limits, while split limits, option A, set separate limits per person and per incident but do not set annual caps. Coinsurance, option D, is a policy feature requiring the policyholder to share in the cost of claims, usually in health or property insurance. Nebraska regulations ensure clients understand these limit types to make informed choices based on their financial protection needs. Question 9. Ms. Flores is involved in a minor car accident resulting in damage to the other party's vehicle and minor injuries to the other driver. Under Nebraska's insurance regulations, which part of her auto insurance policy is likely to cover the other driver's medical costs? A. Collision coverage. B. Comprehensive coverage. C. Liability coverage. D. Medical payments coverage. Correct answer. C. Liability coverage. Explanation. Liability coverage is designed to cover third-party bodily injury and property damage for which the insured is legally responsible. In this scenario, it would cover the other driver's medical costs due to MS. 4 is liability. Collision coverage, option A, covers damage to MS. 4 is vehicle. Comprehensive, option B, covers non-collision related damage. And medical payments coverage, option D, would pay for MS. 4 is medical costs, not the other drivers. Nebraska state laws require liability coverage for all drivers to ensure adequate protection for accident-related injuries and damages caused to others. Question 10. A Nebraska homeowner has an open perils policy with replacement cost coverage. During a storm, high winds cause partial damage to the roof. Which of the following would most accurately represent how the insurer calculates the payout if the policyholder chooses not to repair the roof? A. The insurer pays the actual cash value of the damaged portion of the roof. B. The insurer pays the replacement cost of the damaged portion of the roof. C. The insurer pays a depreciated value of the entire roof. D. The insurer pays for full replacement of the entire roof. Correct answer. A. The insurer pays the actual cash value of the damaged portion of the roof. Explanation. If the homeowner elects not to make repairs, the insurer typically pays only the actual cash value, CV, of the damaged portion, which factors in depreciation. Replacement cost coverage usually applies only if repairs or replacements are completed. If the homeowner does repair the roof, they would receive replacement cost coverage. This approach aligns with Nebraska's insurance practices, where insurers apply replacement cost only when the policyholder restores or repairs the property, incentivizing property maintenance and fair claims settlements. Question 11. In Nebraska, which of the following types of property coverage would be most appropriate for a commercial tenant looking to protect improvements they've made to rented office space? A. Building coverage. B. Business personal property coverage. C. Tenants improvements and betterments coverage. D. Extra expense coverage. Correct answer. C. Tenants improvements and betterments coverage. Explanation. Tenants improvements and betterments coverage specifically applies to modifications or improvements a tenant makes to rented property that cannot be legally removed. Building coverage, option A, would cover the structure itself, while business personal property coverage, option B, covers movable items owned by the business, and extra expense coverage, option D, is designed for additional costs to continue operations during a loss event. Nebraska law ensures that tenants have options to cover improvements they make, protecting their investment. Question 12. A Nebraska homeowner files a claim after hail damages a roof. The insurance policy has a deductible of $1,000 in replacement cost coverage. If the total roof repair costs $15,000, how much will the insurance company pay? A. $15,000. B. $14,000. C. $1,000. D. $16,000. Correct answer. B. $14,000. Explanation. With the replacement cost coverage, the insurer will pay the full repair cost minus the deductible. In this case, the total cost is $15,000, so the insurer pays $15,000. $1,000 equals $13,000. Nebraska regulations mandate that deductibles be clearly stated, ensuring policyholders understand their out-of-pocket responsibilities in a claim. Question 13. In Nebraska, which type of automobile coverage would pay for damages to your vehicle if you collide with an object like a tree due to slippery road conditions? A. Liability coverage. B. Collision coverage. C. Comprehensive coverage. D. Uninsured motorist coverage. Correct answer. B. Collision coverage. Explanation. Collision coverage pays for repairs to the insured's vehicle when it is damaged in a collision, regardless of fall. In this scenario, hitting a tree is considered a collision event. Liability coverage, option A, applies to damage you cause to others. Comprehensive, option C, covers non-collision damage like theft or hail. And uninsured motorist coverage, option D, applies to injuries if the at-fault driver is uninsured. Nebraska insurance policies must offer clear information on the scope of each coverage type to prevent confusion. Question 14. Under Nebraska law, which of the following statements about workers' compensation insurance is true? A. Workers' compensation insurance is optional for all Nebraska employers. B. It provides coverage only for workplace injuries caused by employer negligence. C. It is generally mandatory for most Nebraska employers and provides benefits regardless of fault. D. It does not cover occupational illnesses, only physical injuries. Correct answer. C. It is generally mandatory for most Nebraska employers and provides benefits regardless of fault. Explanation. Nebraska law requires most employers to carry workers' compensation insurance, which covers medical costs and lost wages for employees injured on the job, regardless of fault. This no-fault structure helps expedite support for injured workers and avoids lengthy legal processes. Employers have limited exceptions, but in general, coverage is mandatory. Question 15. Mr. Jenkins, a Nebraska resident, is a landlord who owns an apartment complex. To protect against claims of bodily injury or property damage by tenants or guests, which coverage should he include in his policy? A. Personal property coverage. B. Loss of use coverage. C. Liability coverage. D. Dwelling coverage. Correct answer. C. Liability coverage. Explanation. Liability coverage protects landlords against claims of bodily injury or property damage that tenants or guests may suffer on the property. Personal property coverage, option A, would cover the owner's items in the complex. Loss of use coverage, option B, applies to personal living arrangements rather than rental properties, and dwelling coverage, option D, covers the physical structure of the apartment. Nebraska landlords are encouraged to carry liability insurance to safeguard their financial interests and protect tenant safety. Question 16. In Nebraska, which of the following policy provisions specifies the rights and duties of the insured and the insurer in the event of a loss? A. Insuring agreement. B. Conditions. C. Exclusions. D. Declarations. Correct answer. B. Conditions. Explanation. The conditions section of an insurance policy outlines the rights, responsibilities, and obligations of both parties in case of a loss. The insuring agreement, option A, summarizes the scope of coverage. Exclusions, option C, list perils not covered, and declarations, option D, provide policy specifics such as limits and deductibles. Nebraska law ensures that conditions are clearly stated to prevent misunderstandings during the claims process. Question 17. A business in Nebraska is hit by a tornado, causing extensive property damage and forcing it to cease operations temporarily. Which of the following coverages would best help the business recover lost income during its closure? A. Extra expense coverage. B. Business income coverage. C. Ordinance or law coverage. D. Equipment breakdown coverage. Correct answer. B. Business income coverage. Explanation. Business income coverage reimburses for lost income during periods when a business cannot operate due to covered property damage such as a tornado. Extra expense coverage, option A, covers additional costs to resume operations quickly but not lost income directly. Ordinance or law coverage, option C, applies to rebuilding to code requirements. And equipment breakdown coverage, option D, covers mechanical failures. Nebraska's insurance regulations provide these coverages to aid businesses in recovering from income disruptions due to disasters. Question 18. Nebraska's insurance regulations require certain minimum liability coverage for auto insurance policies. Which type of coverage is required for property damage caused to another person's vehicle in an accident? A. Personal injury protection. B. Comprehensive coverage. C. Collision coverage. D. Property damage liability. Correct answer. D. Property damage liability. Explanation. Property damage liability covers damage to another person's property, such as their vehicle, caused by the insured. This coverage is required under Nebraska auto insurance law to ensure that at-fault drivers can compensate for damages to others' property. Personal injury protection, option A, typically applies to medical expenses, while comprehensive, option B, and collision, option C, cover the insured's vehicle, not third-party property. Question 19. Which of the following best describes a host liquor liability coverage in a Nebraska commercial general liability policy? A. Coverage for damages resulting from serving alcohol at social events. B. Coverage for intentional damage caused by an employee. C. Coverage for liquor liability for bars and taverns. D. Coverage for damages to business-owned property. Correct answer. A. Coverage for damages resulting from serving alcohol at social events. Explanation. Host liquor liability covers businesses and individuals who serve alcohol at social functions, protecting them from liability if a guest causes injury or property damage due to intoxication. However, this coverage does not extend to businesses primarily selling alcohol, like bars, which require separate liquor liability insurance. Nebraska law permits this type of liability coverage for social events but requires specific policies for businesses selling alcohol. Question 20. In Nebraska, an insurance producer uses a misleading advertisement to attract new clients. Under state insurance laws, this action could lead to which of the following consequences? A. License suspension or revocation. B. Higher commission payments. C. Fines but no impact on licensing. D. Issuance of a warning letter only. Correct answer. A. License suspension or revocation. Explanation. Nebraska law prohibits deceptive or misleading advertising practices by insurance producers. Violations can lead to license suspension or revocation, as well as fines or other penalties. Misrepresentation of policies to attract clients is a serious offense under Nebraska insurance regulations, which emphasize ethical practices to maintain consumer trust in the industry. Question 21. Under Nebraska law, which type of endorsement can be added to a homeowner's insurance policy to cover a high-value item, such as an expensive piece of jewelry, beyond the policy's standard limits? A. Personal property endorsement. B. Inflation guard endorsement. C. Scheduled personal property endorsement. D. Ordinance or law endorsement. Correct answer. C. Scheduled personal property endorsement. Explanation. A scheduled personal property endorsement allows policyholders to insure specific high-value items like jewelry, artwork, or collectibles at their appraised values, exceeding the standard personal property limits. This endorsement is essential for items with high worth, as typical homeowner policies limit individual item coverage. Nebraska insurers offer this option to better protect valuable personal property. Question 22. What is the purpose of coinsurance of Nebraska commercial property insurance policy? A. To reduce premium costs by allowing partial property coverage. B. To require the insured to carry a minimum amount of insurance. C. To fully cover all property loss regardless of coverage limit. D. To cover only damages caused by a natural disaster. Correct answer. B. To require the insured to carry a minimum amount of insurance. Explanation. Coinsurance requires the insured to maintain insurance coverage equal to a certain percentage, typically 80% or more, of the property's value. Failure to meet this percentage may result in reduced payouts during a claim. This requirement ensures adequate insurance is in place, preventing underinsurance. Nebraska commercial property policies often include coinsurance clauses for optimal coverage. Question 23. In Nebraska, which of the following insurance policies would typically include coverage for employer's liability? A. Workers' compensation insurance. B. Professional liability insurance. C. General liability insurance. D. Directors and officers DO insurance. Correct answer. A. Workers' compensation insurance. Explanation. Employer's liability coverage is part of workers' compensation insurance and protects employers against employee lawsuits for job-related injuries or illnesses. It serves as a safeguard beyond the direct benefits provided by workers' compensation. General liability insurance and professional liability insurance cover different types of claims, while DO insurance covers directors' and officers' actions. Nebraska law mandates workers' compensation, including employers' liability for broader protection. Question 24. In a Nebraska auto insurance policy, underinsured motorist coverage, UM applies under which scenario? A. When the policyholder's car is stolen. B. When the policyholder is hit by a driver with insufficient liability insurance. C. When the policyholder hits a tree. D. When a driver without any insurance hits the policyholder. Correct answer. B. When the policyholder is hit by a driver with insufficient liability insurance. Explanation. Underinsured motorist coverage, UM, covers bodily injury expenses when an at-fault driver has insufficient liability insurance. This coverage supplements the responsible driver's limit to provide adequate compensation. Nebraska law requires insurers to offer UIM to protect policyholders against drivers with inadequate coverage, increasing financial security for insured drivers. Question 25. In Nebraska, which of the following losses would typically be covered under the loss of use section of a homeowner's insurance policy? A. Damage to a detached garage. B. Legal liability for guest injuries. C. Increased living expenses due to fire. D. Personal property theft off premises. Correct answer. C. Increased living expenses due to fire. Explanation. Loss of use coverage helps pay for additional living expenses when a home becomes uninhabitable due to covered peril, such as a fire. This section provides financial support for temporary accommodations and other increased costs. Coverage for detached garages and liability for guest injuries fall under separate policy sections. Nebraska homeowners can rely on loss of use coverage to ease financial burdens during a cover claim. Question 26. A Nebraska resident has a homeowner's policy with replacement cost coverage for personal property. If a television with a depreciated value of $500 but a replacement cost of $1,200 is stolen, how much will the insurer pay? A. $500. B. $1,200. C. $1,700. D. $700. Correct answer. B. $1,200. Explanation. Replacement cost coverage reimburses the full cost to replace damaged or stolen items without considering depreciation. Therefore, in this scenario, the insurer would pay the $1,200 required to replace the stolen television. Nebraska regulations mandate clear replacement cost provisions to ensure policyholders understand claim settlements. Question 27. Which of the following accurately describes the Nebraska Property and Casualty Insurance Guarantee Association's role in case of an insurer's insolvency? A. It returns all premiums paid by the insured. B. It reimburses insureds up to specified limits for unpaid claims. C. It covers claims without any coverage limit. D. It provides funds only for auto insurance claims. Correct answer. B. It reimburses insureds up to specified limits for unpaid claims. Explanation. The Nebraska Property and Casualty Insurance Guarantee Association protects policyholders if an insurer becomes insolvent by covering unpaid claims within set statutory limits. This safety net is limited in scope and does not apply universally to all claims or policy premiums. Nebraska's guarantee system helps maintain consumer confidence in the insurance industry. Question 28. What is the purpose of ordinance or law coverage in a Nebraska homeowner's policy? A. To cover the cost of rebuilding to comply with updated building codes. B. To cover intentional acts of vandalism. C. To insure the structure against flood damage. D. To provide liability protection for building inspectors. Correct answer. A. To cover the cost of rebuilding to comply with updated building codes. Explanation. Ordinance or law coverage applies to the additional costs of meeting updated building codes or ordinances during repair or rebuilding after a loss. This is crucial when local laws require upgrades that may not be covered under standard replacement cost coverage. Nebraska policies may offer this endorsement to cover the gap between current standards and initial construction requirements. Question 29. Which of the following best describes open perils coverage in a Nebraska property insurance policy? A. Coverage that only lists specific perils insured against. B. Coverage that excludes only listed perils. C. Coverage that includes liability but not property damage. D. Coverage that applies exclusively to natural disasters. Correct answer. B. Coverage that excludes only listed perils. Explanation. Open perils, or walrus coverage, protects against all causes of loss except those explicitly excluded in the policy. This contrasts with named perils coverage, which covers only specific risks listed. Nebraska policyholders may choose open perils coverage for broader protection as it provides flexibility in addressing unexpected events. Question 30. In Nebraska, what is the primary purpose of the insuring agreement section of an insurance policy? A. To list all exclusions and limitations. B. To outline the covered risks and insurer's responsibilities. C. To specify the insured's premium payment obligations. D. To define the policyholder's required actions during a claim. Correct answer. B. To outline the covered risks and insurer's responsibilities. Explanation. The insuring agreement summarizes the insurer's promise to pay for losses resulting from specific risks as well as the conditions under which coverage applies. It serves as the core of the policy's coverage provisions. Other sections address exclusions, payment terms, and claims procedures. Nebraska policies include this section to clarify coverage obligations for policyholders. Question 31. In Nebraska, what type of policy is most likely to provide protection if a homeowner's guest is injured on their property and seeks compensation? A. Personal property insurance. B. Bodily injury liability coverage. C. Loss of use coverage. D. Medical payments coverage. Correct answer. D. Medical payments coverage. Explanation. Medical payments coverage in a homeowner's policy pays for medical expenses if a guest is injured on the insured's property, regardless of fault. This coverage offers a limit to cover injuries to third parties without requiring a lawsuit. Liability coverage may apply if the homeowner is legally liable, but medical payments coverage can address smaller injuries directly. Question 32. Under Nebraska law, which of the following is a required part of a workers' compensation policy? A. Unlimited medical benefits. B. Full salary reimbursement for lost wages. C. Coverage for employer negligence. D. A deductible for injured employees. Correct answer. A. Unlimited medical benefits. Explanation. Nebraska mandates that workers' compensation policies provide unlimited medical benefits for necessary treatment resulting from a work-related injury or illness. This ensures employees receive all necessary care without being financially responsible, enhancing workplace protection and compliance with state regulations. Question 33. In Nebraska, what is the primary purpose of comprehensive coverage in an auto insurance policy? A. To cover collision damage. B. To cover vehicle theft or weather-related damage. C. To cover injuries to other drivers. D. To provide liability protection. Correct answer. B. To cover vehicle theft or weather-related damage. Explanation. Comprehensive coverage helps pay for non-collision-related vehicle damage such as theft, vandalism, fire, and natural disasters. Unlike collision coverage, which addresses damages from accidents, comprehensive insurance covers a range of incidents beyond the driver's control. Nebraska drivers often add this coverage to fully protect their vehicles. Question 34. In Nebraska, which of the following is true about replacement cost coverage in property insurance? A. It reimburses the actual cash value minus depreciation. B. It only applies to items less than 1 year old. C. It reimburses the full cost to replace property without depreciation. D. It provides coverage only for structural damage. Correct answer. C. It reimburses the full cost to replace property without depreciation. Explanation. Replacement cost coverage allows policyholders to replace damaged property with new items without factoring in depreciation. This contrasts with actual cash value, ACV, which deducts depreciation from the payout. Nebraska homeowners may choose replacement cost coverage to ensure they receive full financial recovery for replacing damaged items. Question 35. In Nebraska, a personal umbrella policy typically provides which of the following types of coverage? A. Additional liability coverage beyond standard policies. B. Increased protection for physical damages. C. Comprehensive auto coverage. D. Health insurance for the policyholder. Correct answer. A. Additional liability coverage beyond standard policies. Explanation. A personal umbrella policy offers excess liability coverage stepping in after the limits of underlying policies such as auto or homeowners are exhausted. It provides extra protection against large liability claims and lawsuits. This type of policy does not cover physical damages or health insurance needs but helps Nebraska policyholders manage high-cost liability risks. Question 36. What is the primary function of the declarations of a Nebraska insurance policy? A. To outline exclusions and conditions. B. To describe the policy's coverage, details, and limits. C. To summarize the claims process. D. To outline the insurer's investment strategy. Correct answer. B. To describe the policy's coverage, details, and limits. Explanation. The declarations page includes critical policy details such as coverage limits, premium amounts, and policyholder information. This section is an essential reference for understanding coverage specifics. Nebraska policies include this summary upfront, enabling policyholders to easily review their coverage terms. Question 37. In Nebraska, which of the following is the primary purpose of a proof of loss after a property damage claim? A. To verify the cause of the damage. B. To establish that a policyholder's premium is up to date. C. To provide evidence for the amount being claimed. D. To assess the policyholder's income level. Correct answer. C. To provide evidence for the amount being claimed. Explanation. Proof of loss is a formal statement from the policyholder detailing the extent of damage or loss. It supports the claim amount and provides documentation for the insurer's evaluation. Nebraska insurers require this form to verify and validate claim details, ensuring accurate processing and compensation. Question 38. What does the term subrogation refer to in Nebraska insurance policies? A. The insurer's right to sue a third party on the policyholder's behalf. B. A clause that excludes certain types of damage. C. An increase in the policy's deductible. D. A limitation on the insurer's liability. Correct answer. A. The insurer's right to sue a third party on the policyholder's behalf. Explanation. Subrogation allows an insurer to pursue a third party responsible for a loss after compensating the policyholder. This process helps recover the claim amount from the party at fault, minimizing the insurer's financial loss. Nebraska policies include subrogation clauses to facilitate recovery and avoid duplicate payments. Question 39. In Nebraska, a standard personal auto policy typically provides coverage for which of the following types of damage? A. Damage caused by intentional acts. B. Wear and tear on the vehicle. C. Collision damage with another vehicle. D. Damage from using the vehicle for business purposes. Correct answer. C. Collision damage with another vehicle. Explanation. A standard auto policy's collision coverage applies when the insured's vehicle collides with another vehicle or object. This coverage is separate from comprehensive reliability coverage and excludes intentional damage, business use, or normal wear and tear. Nebraska drivers rely on collision coverage for accident-related repairs to their vehicles. Question 40. Which type of property insurance policy in Nebraska would be appropriate for someone who rents their home? A. Homeowner's insurance. B. Flood insurance. C. Renter's insurance. D. Dwelling fire policy. Correct answer. C. Renter's insurance. Explanation. Renter's insurance provides coverage for personal property, liability, and additional living expenses for individuals renting their home or apartment. Unlike homeowner's insurance, it does not cover the physical structure, which is typically the landlord's responsibility. Nebraska renters use this policy to protect their belongings and mitigate liability risk. Question 41. Which of the following describes the loss of use coverage in a Nebraska homeowner's policy? A. Coverage for structural repairs. B. Coverage for lost or stolen personal items. C. Payment for living expenses if the home is uninhabitable. D. Additional liability protection. Correct answer. C. Payment for living expenses if the home is uninhabitable. Explanation. Loss of use coverage compensates the homeowner for extra living expenses if their home is temporarily uninhabitable due to a covered peril. This might include costs for temporary lodging, meals, or transportation. In Nebraska, this coverage helps ensure policyholders can maintain their living standards while their home is being repaired. Question 42. In Nebraska, which of the following best describes an endorsement on an insurance policy? A. A policy revision to increase the deductible. B. A formal written modification to the existing policy. C. The official cancellation of a policy. D. A legal obligation placed on the insured. Correct answer. B. A formal written modification to the existing policy. Explanation. An endorsement is an amendment or addition to an insurance policy that modifies coverage, terms, or conditions. This allows Nebraska policyholders to customize their policies, adding specific protections or adjusting terms to better suit their needs without replacing the entire policy. Question 43. What is the minimum liability insurance coverage required by Nebraska law for bodily injury per accident? A. $15,000. B. $25,000. C. $50,000. D. $100,000. Correct answer. C. $50,000. Explanation. Nebraska mandates a minimum liability coverage of $25,000 for bodily injury per person and $50,000 per accident, along with $25,000 for property damage. This helps ensure that drivers have sufficient coverage for injuries or damages they may cause to others in an accident, promoting financial responsibility. Question 44. Which of the following perils is typically an OT covered under a standard Nebraska homeowners insurance policy? A. Fire. B. Hail. C. Earthquake. D. Theft. Correct answer. C. Earthquake. Explanation. Standard homeowners policies usually exclude earthquake coverage, which can be purchased as an additional endorsement or separate policy. Fire, hail, and theft are generally included. Nebraska residents can obtain earthquake insurance separately if they wish to protect their property from seismic events. Question 45. In Nebraska, how long does an insurer typically have to investigate and respond to a property insurance claim? A. 15 days. B. 30 days. C. 45 days. D. 60 days. Correct answer. B. 30 days. Explanation. Nebraska law generally allows insurers up to 30 days to investigate and respond to a claim after receiving necessary information. This period can vary depending on the claim's complexity, but the timeline promotes timely resolution and minimizes delays for the insured. Question 46. In Nebraska, what is an insurable interest, and why is it important in property insurance policies? A. The amount of risk the insurer is willing to accept. B. The financial stake the policyholder has in the property. C. The limit of liability on the policy. D. The deductible applied to a claim. Correct answer. B. The financial stake the policyholder has in the property. Explanation. An insurable interest means the policyholder has a financial stake in the property's preservation, motivating them to protect it from damage or loss. Nebraska insurance policies require insurable interest to validate claims, ensuring the claimant suffers a financial loss from the insured event. Question 47. What type of policy would a Nebraska landlord typically purchase to insure a rental property? A. Homeowner's insurance. B. Personal auto policy. C. Dwelling policy. D. Renter's insurance. Correct answer. C. Dwelling policy. Explanation. A dwelling policy is designed for landlords and provides coverage for rental properties. Unlike homeowners insurance, which is for owner-occupied homes, dwelling policies focus on protecting the structure rather than personal property inside, which is the tenant's responsibility. Question 48. In Nebraska, if a property is insured for replacement costs and a covered loss occurs, what will the policy pay? A. Actual cash value minus depreciation. B. The market value of the property. C. The full cost to replace the property without depreciation. D. The highest policy limit. Correct answer. C. The full cost to replace the property without depreciation. Explanation. Replacement cost coverage reimburses the policyholder for the full cost of replacing the property without considering depreciation, ensuring the insured can restore or replace their property with similar items. Nebraska property owners often prefer replacement cost coverage to achieve complete recovery after a loss. Question 49. What is the primary purpose of Nebraska's value policy law? A. To require insurers to pay the market value of insured property. B. To limit coverage to actual cash value. C. To establish fixed premiums for all properties. D. To require payment of the policy amount in total loss cases. Correct answer. D. To require payment of the policy amount in total loss cases. Explanation. Nebraska's value policy law requires insurers to pay the full policy limit in cases of total loss, regardless of the property's actual value at the time of loss. This protects insureds from receiving inadequate compensation for a total property loss, making it easier to rebuild or replace. Question 50. In Nebraska, which type of auto insurance covers injuries sustained by the policyholder and passengers, regardless of fault? A. Bodily injury liability. B. Property damage liability. C. Collision coverage. D. Personal injury protection, PIP. Correct answer. D. Personal injury protection, PIP. Explanation. Personal injury protection, PIP, covers medical expenses for the policyholder and passengers, regardless of fault in an accident. PIP helps ensure prompt payment of medical bills and lost wages, offering Nebraska drivers additional protection beyond basic liability insurance. Question 51. Which type of coverage would protect a Nebraska business from a lawsuit filed by a customer injured on the premises? A. Product liability insurance. B. Commercial property insurance. C. Workers' compensation insurance. D. Commercial general liability insurance. Correct answer. D. Commercial general liability insurance. Explanation. Commercial general liability (CGL) insurance protects businesses from claims related to bodily injury or property damage incurred by customers or third parties on their premises. In Nebraska, this coverage is essential for business owners to guard against costly legal claims. Question 52. What type of Nebraska insurance policy would cover a vehicle's repair costs after hitting a deer? A. Collision coverage. B. Comprehensive coverage. C. Personal injury protection. D. Bodily injury liability. Correct answer. B. Comprehensive coverage. Explanation. Comprehensive coverage in Nebraska provides protection for non-collision incidents such as animal strikes, weather events, and theft. A collision with a deer falls under this category, and comprehensive coverage would pay for the repair or replacement of the damaged vehicle. Question 53. In Nebraska, what does coinsurance refer to in a commercial property policy? A. A deductible applied to every claim. B. A required percentage of loss paid by the insurer. C. A cost-sharing requirement between multiple insurers. D. A clause requiring the insured to maintain a certain level of insurance. Correct answer. D. A clause requiring the insured to maintain a certain level of insurance. Explanation. The coinsurance clause mandates that a policyholder insure their property for at least a specified percentage, often 80% of its value. If this requirement is not met, the insurer may reduce the claim payout proportionally. This clause encourages adequate coverage to prevent underinsurance in Nebraska. Question 54. Which of the following types of losses would typically be covered under a Nebraska business interruption insurance policy? A. Loss of revenue due to a competitor's new product launch. B. Loss of income due to fire damage that temporarily shuts down operations. C. Loss of funds due to employee theft. D. Losses due to fluctuating stock prices. Correct answer. B. Loss of income due to fire damage that temporarily shuts down operations. Explanation. Business interruption insurance covers lost income and operating expenses when a covered peril, like fire, forces a temporary shutdown. This policy helps Nebraska businesses maintain financial stability during recovery, ensuring they can meet expenses despite interrupted operations. Question 55. What is the main purpose of Nebraska's uninsured motorist coverage? A. To cover the insured's vehicle repair costs after an accident. B. To provide medical payments for passengers. C. To cover injuries and damages caused by an uninsured driver. D. To cover rental car costs after an accident. Correct answer. C. To cover injuries and damages caused by an uninsured driver. Explanation. Uninsured motorist coverage protects Nebraska drivers if they are injured by A driver without insurance pays for medical bills, lost wages, and sometimes property damage, providing essential protection when the at-fault driver lacks adequate coverage. Question 56. Under Nebraska law, which party generally has the right to cancel an auto insurance policy for non-payment? A. The insured. B. The insurer. C. The state insurance commissioner. D. The lien holder on the vehicle. Correct answer. B. The insurer. Explanation. The insurer holds the right to cancel a policy for non-payment of premiums. Nebraska law requires the insurer to provide the insured with advance notice before cancellation, allowing a grace period to make any overdue payments. Question 57. In Nebraska, what type of endorsement would a homeowner add to cover valuable jewelry against all risks of loss? A. Scheduled personal property endorsement. B. Replacement cost endorsement. C. Flood insurance endorsement. D. Inflation guard endorsement. Correct answer. A. Scheduled personal property endorsement. Explanation. A scheduled personal property endorsement covers high-value items like jewelry against all risks. In Nebraska, homeowners often use this endorsement to insure expensive items or insured for their full value, as they may not be fully covered under a standard homeowner's policy. Question 58. If a Nebraska insured person suffers water damage due to a burst pipe, under which coverage of a homeowner's policy would the repairs typically fall? A. Personal liability. B. Dwelling coverage. C. Flood insurance. D. Loss of use. Correct answer. B. Dwelling coverage. Explanation. Dwelling coverage in a Nebraska homeowner's policy generally covers sudden and accidental damage from burst pipes. It includes repairs to structural components such as walls and floors, caused by water damage originating within the home's plumbing system. Question 59. How does Nebraska law define rebating in the context of insurance sales? A. Offering financial incentives to customers for purchasing a policy. B. Reducing premiums for long-term policyholders. C. Allowing an insurer to negotiate rates with clients. D. Providing free educational materials on policy benefits. Correct answer. A. Offering financial incentives to customers for purchasing a policy. Explanation. Rebating is the practice of offering cash or gifts to encourage a customer to buy a policy. Nebraska prohibits rebating, ensuring a fair marketplace where insurance sales are based on policy merits rather than financial incentives. Question 60. What is the primary purpose of umbrella liability insurance in Nebraska? A. To replace primary liability coverage. B. To provide higher limits and broader coverage than primary policies. C. To offer coverage exclusively for automobile-related claims. D. To insure against risks not covered by standard health insurance. Correct answer. B. To provide higher limits and broader coverage than primary policies. Explanation. Umbrella liability insurance offers additional coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies like auto or homeowners insurance. It provides extra protection for large claims, making it beneficial for Nebraska residents seeking additional financial security against substantial liabilities. Question 61. Which of the following is typically not covered under a Nebraska homeowners insurance policy's standard dwelling coverage? A. Damage from hail. B. Fire damage. C. Earthquake damage. D. Lightning damage. Correct answer. C. Earthquake damage. Explanation. Standard homeowners insurance policies generally exclude coverage for earthquake damage. In Nebraska, homeowners who want earthquake protection must purchase a separate earthquake endorsement or policy to cover potential losses from seismic activity. Question 62. In Nebraska, if an insured party is involved in an accident with an underinsured driver, which type of coverage would help pay for the remaining damages? A. Collision coverage. B. Medical payments coverage. C. Underinsured motorist coverage. D. Comprehensive coverage. Correct answer. C. Underinsured motorist coverage. Explanation. Underinsured motorist coverage in Nebraska covers damages when the at-fault driver's insurance is insufficient to cover the full cost of injuries or damages. This coverage helps bridge the gap providing financial support to the insured party. Question 63. What is the primary purpose of Nebraska's valued policy law in relation to homeowners insurance? A. To guarantee that all homes are insured. B. To require insurers to cover replacement costs for any home loss. C. To mandate that insurers pay the policy limit for total losses. D. To ensure that policyholders receive fair market value for partial losses. Correct answer. C. To mandate that insurers pay the policy limit for total losses. Explanation. Nebraska's valued policy law requires insurers to pay the full policy limit if a home is declared a total loss due to covered peril, ensuring policyholders receive a predetermined amount without disputes over the property's value at the time of loss. Question 64. What type of Nebraska insurance policy provides coverage for injuries to employees who suffer job-related accidents? A. Professional liability insurance. B. General liability insurance. C. Workers' compensation insurance. D. Commercial property insurance. Correct answer. C. Workers' compensation insurance. Explanation. Workers' compensation insurance provides coverage for job-related injuries and illnesses, covering medical expenses and lost wages. Nebraska requires businesses to carry this insurance to protect employees and ensure they receive compensation for workplace injuries. Question 65. Which of the following events is typically covered by Nebraska commercial property insurance? A. Flooding. B. Fire. C. Earthquake. D. Employee theft. Correct answer. B. Fire. Explanation. Standard commercial property insurance in Nebraska typically covers fire damage but generally excludes coverage for flooding and earthquakes unless separate endorsements or policies are purchased. It also does not cover losses due to employee theft, which would require a separate fidelity bond or crime insurance. Question 66. Which Nebraska insurance law governs the handling of claim payments in a timely manner to policyholders? A. The Nebraska Valued Policy Law. B. The Unfair Claims Settlement Practices Act. C. The Nebraska Rebating Act. D. The Nebraska Privacy Protection Act. Correct answer. B. The Unfair Claims Settlement Practices Act. Explanation. The Unfair Claims Settlement Practices Act in Nebraska requires insurers to handle claims fairly and promptly. It sets standards for timely investigations, communications, and payment to policyholders, preventing insurers from delaying or denying valid claims. Question 67. What type of coverage would protect a Nebraska restaurant from a claim if a customer becomes ill after consuming contaminated food? A. Commercial property insurance. B. Business interruption insurance. C. Professional liability insurance. D. Product liability insurance. Correct answer. D. Product liability insurance. Explanation. Product liability insurance covers claims related to injury or illness caused by products a business sells or distributes. In Nebraska, a restaurant would rely on this coverage to protect against claims from customers who become ill after consuming contaminated food. Question 68. In Nebraska, which auto insurance coverage would cover medical expenses for injuries the insured incurs in an accident, regardless of fault? The liability coverage. B. Medical payments coverage. C. Collision coverage. D. Uninsured motorist coverage. Correct answer. B. Medical payments coverage. Explanation. Medical payments coverage, often called MedPay, covers medical expenses for the insured and passengers, regardless of fault. This optional coverage is available in Nebraska to help pay for necessary medical costs following an accident. Question 69. What is an actual cash value received policy in Nebraska, and how does it differ from a replacement cost policy? ACV policies provide full replacement cost for damaged property. B. ACV policies pay the depreciated value of the damaged property. C. ACV policies only cover repairs, not replacements. D. ACV policies cover only liability expenses. Correct answer. B. ACV policies pay the depreciated value of the damaged property. Explanation. Actual cash value, ACV, policies consider depreciation, meaning the payout is based on the property's current value, not the cost of replacing it with a new item. In Nebraska, policyholders seeking coverage for full replacement costs would need a replacement cost policy, which does not deduct for depreciation. Question 70. Which Nebraska endorsement would a homeowner need to add to their policy to cover damage from sewer or drain backup? A. Earthquake endorsement. B. Scheduled personal property endorsement. C. Water backup and some pump overflow endorsement. D. Flood insurance endorsement. Correct answer. C. Water backup and some pump overflow endorsement. Explanation. A water backup and some pump overflow endorsement covers damage from backed up drains or some pump overflows, which are not included in standard homeowners policies. In Nebraska, this endorsement is recommended to protect homeowners from potentially costly water damage repairs. Question 71. What is the main purpose of a Nebraska binder in property and casualty insurance? A. To provide a temporary insurance policy while the final policy is issued. B. To cancel an existing policy. C. To increase the limits of liability coverage. D. To transfer an insurance policy to another person. Correct answer. A. To provide a temporary insurance policy while the final policy is issued. Explanation. A binder provides temporary insurance coverage until the full policy can be officially issued. It ensures that the insured is covered during the interim period and is commonly used in Nebraska property and casualty insurance when there may be delays in finalizing the formal policy. Question 72. In Nebraska, which type of insurance policy would protect a landlord from liability if a tenant's visitor is injured on the property? A. Homeowner's insurance. B. Personal liability insurance. C. Renter's insurance. D. Commercial general liability CGL insurance. Correct answer. D. Commercial general liability CGL insurance. Explanation. Commercial general liability CGL insurance protects landlords from liability claims arising from injuries on rental property premises. In Nebraska, this coverage helps safeguard landlords against financial losses from accidents involving tenants' visitors. Question 73. If a Nebraska driver's auto insurance policy includes uninsured motorist coverage, what type of event is it designed to cover? A. Damage to the insured's car due to theft. B. Injuries sustained by the insured if hit by an uninsured driver. C. Damage to the insured's car from a hit-and-run driver. D. Both B and C. Correct answer. D. Both B and C. Explanation. Uninsured motorist coverage in Nebraska covers injuries and damages when an insured person is hit by an uninsured driver or involved in a hit-and-run accident. Provides essential protection when the at-fault driver cannot cover the costs. Question 74. Which type of Nebraska insurance policy would typically include a business income coverage endorsement? A. Commercial auto policy. B. Business owner's policy, BOP. C. Professional liability insurance. D. Inland marine policy. Correct answer. B. Business owner's policy, BOP. Explanation. A business owner's policy, BOP, often includes business income coverage, which provides financial protection against lost income if a business cannot operate due to covered peril. In Nebraska, this coverage is valuable for small businesses facing unexpected interruptions. Question 75. Which of the following perils would be excluded from standard homeowners insurance coverage in Nebraska unless additional endorsements are purchased? A. Fire. B. Vandalism. C. Flooding. D. Windstorm. Correct answer. C. Flooding. Explanation. Standard homeowners policies typically do not cover flooding. To protect against flood damage, Nebraska homeowners must purchase a separate flood insurance policy through the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP, or private insurers. Correct answer. C. Flooding. Explanation. Standard homeowners policies typically do not cover flooding. To protect against flood damage, Nebraska homeowners must purchase a separate flood insurance policy through the National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP, or private insurers. Correct answer. B. General liability insurance. Explanation. General liability insurance covers a contractor's liability for property damage or bodily injury that may occur due to construction work. This coverage is essential in Nebraska to protect contractors from costly liability claims on job sites. Question 77. What does a Nebraska subrogation clause in an insurance policy allow the insurer to do after paying a claim? A. Increase the policy's deductible. B. Cancel the policy without notice. C. Pursue recovery from a third party at fault. D. Lower the premium on the next renewal. Correct answer. C. Pursue recovery from a third party at fault. Explanation. A subrogation clause allows the insurer to seek reimbursement from the responsible third party after paying a claim. This helps the insurer recoup losses and ensures that the at-fault party bears responsibility for damages, a standard practice in Nebraska policies. Question 78. If a Nebraska business uses a vehicle for deliveries, which type of auto insurance is recommended? A. Personal auto policy. B. Commercial auto policy. C. Non-owner's auto insurance. D. Liability only coverage. Correct answer. B. Commercial auto policy. Explanation. Commercial auto policies are designed to cover vehicles used for business purposes such as deliveries. In Nebraska, these policies provide the appropriate liability and physical damage coverage for business-related vehicle usage, which personal policies typically exclude. Question 79. Which of the following best describes coinsurance Nebraska property insurance policy? A. A provision requiring the insured to insure the property for a minimum percentage of its value. B. A policy covering two insured parties equally. C. A provision allowing the insured to cancel the policy at any time. D. A discount for insuring multiple properties. Correct answer. A. A provision requiring the insured to insure the property for a minimum percentage of its value. Explanation. Coinsurance requires policyholders to insure their property to a specified percentage, usually 80% or 90% of its value. In Nebraska, if this condition is not met, the insured may face penalties in the form of reduced claim payouts. Question 80. In Nebraska, which type of policy would a technology company need to protect against financial losses from data breaches? A. Commercial property insurance. B. Business owner's policy, BOP. C. Cyber liability insurance. D. Errors and omissions, EO insurance. Correct answer. C. Cyber liability insurance. Explanation. Cyber liability insurance covers financial losses from data breaches, cyber attacks, and other digital threats. This coverage is essential for Nebraska businesses handling sensitive information to protect against potential financial and reputational damage resulting from cyber incidents. Question 81. In Nebraska, what type of insurance coverage is required for drivers to legally operate a motor vehicle? A. Collision coverage. B. Comprehensive coverage. C. Liability coverage. D. Personal injury protection, PIP. Correct answer. C. Liability coverage. Explanation. Nebraska law requires all drivers to have liability coverage, which covers bodily injury and property damage to others in case of an at-fault accident. This mandatory coverage ensures that drivers can financially compensate those they may harm in a collision. Question 82. Under Nebraska insurance regulations, which of the following is the maximum allowable period for an insurer to delay a claim payment without facing penalties? A. 15 days. B. 30 days. C. 45 days. D. 60 days. Correct answer. B. 30 days. Explanation. Nebraska insurance laws mandate that claims should generally be paid within 30 days to avoid penalties. Delayed claim payments beyond this period can lead to fines or other sanctions against the insurer for failing to meet their contractual obligations. Question 83. In a Nebraska homeowner's insurance policy, which term describes the cost to replace or repair property without considering depreciation? A. Actual cash value, SAV. B. Replacement cost. C. Market value. D. Agreed value. Correct answer. B. Replacement cost. Explanation. replacement cost provides for the cost to repair or replace property with materials of similar kind and quality without deduction for depreciation. Nebraska homeowners can choose this option to ensure they receive enough coverage to restore their property to its original condition. Question 84. Which of the following coverage types in Nebraska auto insurance helps cover repair costs if the policyholder's vehicle is damaged in a non-collision incident like a hailstorm? A. Collision coverage. B. Uninsured motorist coverage. C. Comprehensive coverage. D. Liability coverage. Correct answer. C. Comprehensive coverage. Explanation. Comprehensive coverage helps pay for repairs or replacement if the policyholder's vehicle is damaged by non-collision events such as hail, theft, or fire. This coverage is optional in Nebraska but often recommended for broader protection. Question 85. In Nebraska, what type of insurance is designed to provide coverage when an at-fault driver's liability insurance limits are too low to fully cover the costs of an accident? A. Uninsured motorist coverage. B. Medical payments coverage. C. Underinsured motorist coverage. D. Collision coverage. Correct answer. C. Underinsured motorist coverage. Explanation. Underinsured motorist coverage, UM, applies when the at-fault driver's insurance is insufficient to cover all damages. This coverage, mandated in Nebraska, helps the insured recover additional compensation to cover remaining losses. Question 86. Which of the following statements about Nebraska's workers' compensation insurance is true? A. It only covers employees injured on the job if they can prove employer negligence. B. It is optional for all Nebraska employers. C. It provides benefits for on-the-job injuries regardless of fault. D. It covers property damage caused by employees. Correct answer. C. It provides benefits for on-the-job injuries regardless of fault. Explanation. Workers' compensation in Nebraska operates on a no-fault basis, meaning that employees injured on the job receive benefits without needing to prove the employer's negligence. This ensures prompt compensation for medical expenses and lost wages. Question 87. Which of the following best describes an umbrella policy in Nebraska insurance terms? A. It replaces all other insurance policies with one comprehensive policy. B. It provides additional liability coverage beyond underlying policy limits. C. It covers only physical damage to property. D. It is a type of health insurance policy. Correct answer. B. It provides additional liability coverage beyond underlying policy limits. Explanation. An umbrella policy offers extra liability coverage, extending beyond the limits of standard policies such as auto or homeowners insurance. In Nebraska, this policy protects against large claims or lawsuits that may exceed underlying policy limits. Question 88. In Nebraska, which type of endorsement could a business owner add to commercial property policy to protect against losses due to equipment breakdown? A. Builder's risk endorsement. B. Equipment breakdown coverage. C. Business interruption endorsement. D. Ordinance or law endorsement. Correct answer. B. Equipment breakdown coverage. Explanation. Equipment breakdown coverage, also known as boiler and machinery coverage, protects against losses caused by equipment malfunctions. Nebraska businesses often add this endorsement to their policies to mitigate losses related to mechanical or electrical breakdowns. Question 89. What is the main purpose of ordinance or law coverage in Nebraska property insurance? A. To cover increased costs when a building must be updated to meet new building codes. B. To protect against liability claims. C. To insure personal belongings within a building. D. To cover medical expenses after an accident. Correct answer. A. To cover increased costs when a building must be updated to meet new building codes. Explanation. Ordinance or law coverage assists with the costs of rebuilding or updating property to comply with current building codes after damage. In Nebraska, this coverage can be critical if local codes have changed since the property was originally built. Question 90. In Nebraska, what is Vinland marine insurance primarily used to cover? A. Property transported over land. B. Boats and other marine vehicles. C. Losses due to flooding. D. Liability for on-the-job injuries. Correct answer. A. Property transported over land. Explanation. Inland marine insurance covers property that is transported over land, such as goods in transit, as well as specialized equipment or valuable items that may not be stationary. This policy is essential in Nebraska for businesses needing coverage for high-value or mobile property.